we are moving to the last part of your topic 4.1, where we will talk about balancing equation by using ion electron method. So we know that balancing equation having two methods, and we have done the inspection method in your part 2 video. And today we will look at your ion electron method. Ion electron method separated into two because we can have it in acidic medium and also we can have it in basic medium. And we are going to look into both medium today. First and foremost, we'll look into ion electron method in acidic medium. And if you look at it now, we have 8 steps for this ion electron method in acidic medium. But I'm not going to explain the step over here because we are going to straight into the example. So let's look into our first example. This is in acidic medium. This is our redox equation, which is not balanced. So our purpose of this video today is to balance this redox equation. So my step 1 is to separate them into two half equation. How do I separate them into two half equation? Simple. Find the pair. If I have chromium over here, find the pair of chromium. That is my pair of chromium. If I have nitrogen over here, find the pair of nitrogen. That is the pair of nitrogen. So two half equation, that is my first half, that will be my second half equation. So write them out, just basically copy them from the redox equation. I will have Cr2O7 2 minus, and the partner is Cr3 plus. The second half equation is HNO2 become NO3 minus. That is our step 1. So moving to your step 2, we are going to balance all atoms of the element except hydrogen and oxygen. In the other words, we are going to ignore all the oxygen and hydrogen first. We are going to look for the other atoms. For example, in your first half equation, you have 2 Cr and 1 Cr. So, your reactant and your product having not enough Cr. So, we add into your product, 2 Cr 3 plus. If you look at your second half equation, you have HNO2 and NO3 minus. So, I have nitrogen over here 1. I have nitrogen over here 1. They are balanced. So, we move on. Step 3. Balance the oxygen by using water. We know that in 1 mole of water, I have only 1 oxygen. Therefore, if I don't have enough 1 oxygen, I will then add in 1 H2O. So what do I mean by that? Look at your first half equation. On your reactant, I have oxygen 7. But on your product, I don't have any oxygen. So how many water do I add in? 7 oxygen. Therefore, I add in 7 H2O. Because in 1 water, there is only 1 oxygen. So I have 7 oxygen on the reactant. I now have 7 oxygen on my product. How about the second half equation? I have HNO2, O2. But over here, I have O3. So oxygen is 2 on your reactant and oxygen is 3 on your product. Who not having enough? On the reactant. So we will add in how many water to balance the oxygen. We need 1 more. So I only add in 1 water. Step 4. We will balance the hydrogen using H plus ion. Very simple. You just need to look for how many H is not enough. So on the first half equation, on the reactant, I don't have any hydrogen. On the product, I have 7 times 2. I have 14 hydrogen over here. So I will add in 14 H plus ion. On the reactant, because we want to balance the hydrogen. Second half equation, I have H2, 2 hydrogen. I have H1. So total, I have 3 hydrogen over here. When you have 3 hydrogen over here, on the product, we don't have any hydrogen. So what do? we add in 3H+. Next step, we are going to balance the charge by using electron. We know that electron bringing one negative charge. Therefore, electron must be always added into the more positive side. So, how do we work it out? First and foremost, we need to find the charge on the reactant and on the product. So, on the reactant for your first half equation, 14H+. So, I will have 14 positive. Second, I have Cr2O7 2-. So, I have 2-. And the total charge over here will be 14 positive plus 2-, 12 positive. On the product, I have 2 Cr3+. 2 times 3+, I will have 6+. Water is 0. So over here on the product, I will have 6 positive. Like we discussed just now, electron must be added to the more positive side. Who is more positive now? Your reactant, 12 positive. So how many electrons will be added? It will depend on the differences between the total charge. I have 12 positive and 6+. The differences between them are 6. So I'm going to add in 6 electrons on the reactant. The second half equation, let's try. H2O is 0. HNO2 is 0. So the total over here will be 0. NO3 minus, therefore is a 1 minus. 3H plus, therefore I have 3 positive. 1 minus and 3 positive, that will give rise to 2 positive. 0 and 2 positive. Obviously 2 positive is more positive side. And what is the differences between 0 and 2 plus? 2. Therefore, we will add in 2 electrons on the product. Next, we are going to balance the electron for both equations. And let's see how we are going to do it. So I have 6 electrons on my first half equation. I have 2 electrons on my second half equation. How do I balance them? 6 and 2. Obviously, everything over here will times 3. So we recopy the equation so that it's easier for you to further down to your step 7 and 8. But when you recopy them, make sure the arrow for both equations are aligned. So for the first equation, we do not need to do anything because it's already 6 electrons. When the 2 electrons in the second half times 3, we will have 6 electrons. So the first equation, we just copy back. 6 electron plus 14H plus Cr2O7 2- and 2 Cr3 plus 7H2O. For the second equation, since everything is going to times 3, therefore we will have 3H2O, 3HNO2, 3NO3-, so 9H plus. And last but not least, 6 electrons. So copy everything. I have 3H2O, 3HNO2, 3NO3-, 9H plus, and also 6 electrons. Next, we are going to sum up the final 2 half equation. How do we sum them up? Before you sum them up, you need to make sure the arrow is aligned. First. Second, the electron must be in opposite direction for both half equation. One of the electron must be on the product, another one must be on the reactant. Third, the number of electron must be the same. And when they are in the opposite direction, we can minus or cancel them off. And before you can sum them up, you need to make sure there is no repeated compound. We cannot write the same compound twice in a chemical equation. So we need to simplify the same compound. I have 14 hydrogen positive, and over here, I have 9 hydrogen positive. Opposite direction, 14 minus 9. I will then have 5 H plus. What else? Water. I have 7 H2O and I have 3 H2O. Cancel. Minus, I will have 7 minus 3, 4 H2O. Anything else repeated? No. We need to make sure no one is repeated in a chemical equation. So you can sum them up right now. Everything that's sitting before the arrow will remain on the same side. Everything after the arrow will remain on the product side. So you have 5H plus Cr2O7 minus plus 3HNO2 forming 2Cr3 plus 4H2O plus 3NO3 minus. And last but not least, we are going to simplify if needed, and also we are going to put in the physical state to make it a complete balanced chemical equation. So can we simplify them? I have coefficient 5, 1, 3, 2, 4, 3. So we cannot simplify them, and this is the simplest that we can have. But that is not your final answer because we don't have the physical state. H plus is in aqueous, all the ion, cation and ion will be in aqueous. That is your aqueous. Your water will be in liquid. Your NO3 minus will be aqueous. And that is your final answer. Let's move to basic medium. And I don't want you to see this as a different thing, because if you realize your step 1 until 7 is the same as the acidic medium. So they are pretty much the same. We only have extra steps over here, and we only have basically extra 2 steps, step 8 and 9. And don't worry, we are going to look into what they are. So this is the example given, and I'm having a basic medium right now. Since it's a basic medium, we are going to have extra steps. This is the redox equation for it. So step 1, we are going to separate them into 2 half equation. And the first thing, find their partners. Chlorine, partner, chlorine. Sulfur, partner with sulfur. The first half equation that I have is ClO minus become Cl minus. The second half equation that I have is S2O3 2 minus become SO4 2 minus. Second step, same like your acidic, balance all atoms except oxygen and hydrogen. Chlorine, chlorine, 1, 1. S2, S1. So we took 2 sulfur. Next step, balance the oxygen by using H2O. So oxygen 1 on the reactant. So I add in 1 H2O on the product. Second equation, 3 oxygen and 8 oxygen. So 3 oxygen and also 8 oxygen. How many oxygen is not enough? 5. So we add in 5 H2O. Step 4, we are going to balance the hydrogen using H+. For the first half equation, ClO minus, no hydrogen. Cl minus, no hydrogen. H2, 2 hydrogen. So your reactant is not enough with 2 H+. On the second half equation, I have 10 hydrogen on the reactant and I have no hydrogen on the product. So 10 H+ ion. Next step, we are going to balance the charge by using electron. So make sure you work out this step very carefully. 2 H+, 2 positive. ClO minus, 1 negative. So the total charge on the reactant is 1 positive. Cl minus, 1 negative. Water, 0. So you will have 1 minus. So who is more positive? Always remember, electron will be added to the more positive side. So I have 1 positive over here and 1 negative over here. This will be where the electron belong to. How many electron? The differences between 1 plus and 1 minus is 2 electron because If you remember your line number, you have your 0, you have your positive 1, you have your negative 1. So moving from negative 1 to reach positive 1, I need 2 electrons. So there you go, your 2 electrons. For the second half equation, 5H2O, 0. S2O3, 2 minus, 2 minus. So the total over here will be 2 minus. And then for the product, I have 2 times 2. So I have 4 minus, 10 H plus, 10 positive. Work it out. You realize that you have 6 positive. And who is more positive? 6 plus. Therefore, electron will be added over here. How many electron? 2 negative and 6 positive. I actually having 8 electron differences. Why 8 electron? Your line number. You have your 0, you have your negative 1, you have your negative 2, we have your plus 1, plus 2, plus 3, plus 4, 5, and 6. So if you are moving from the positive 6 all the way to your negative 2, you realize that the differences is actually 8. That's why 8 electron. Next step, balance the electron for both equation. How do we balance the electron for both equation? Look at the number of electron that you have on both equation. On the first half equation, I have 2 electron. On the second half equation, I have 8 electron. So what do we do to make sure that the number of electrons are the same? I have 2 times everything with 4. And the 8 remain unchanged. So copy them down again. As I said just now, the arrow must be aligned so that you know who is the reactant, who is the product. So for the first half equation, everything times 4. So 2 will become 8, 2 will become 8, over here will become 4, that will be your 4, that will be your 4. Copy them down, you will have 8 electron, 8 H plus, 4 ClO minus, 4 Cl minus, and 4 H2O. Any changes to the second equation? No. So we just copy them. 5 H2O and S2O3 2 minus, 2 SO4 2 minus, and also 10 H plus, last but not least, 8 electron. And next, we need to sum them up. And how do we sum them up? We need to cancel off the same thing that repeated. First and foremost, definitely electron on the opposite side. Second, you have your H plus and your H plus, 8 and 10. So left 2 H plus. Water, I have 5 water and 4 water. So we will remain 1 water on the reactant. And now nothing else repeated, therefore we are going to rewrite the equation. Everything on the reactant remain on the reactant. H2O plus 4 ClO minus plus S2O3 2 minus 4 Cl minus plus 2 SO4 2 minus plus 2 H plus. And our next step in your basic medium is add OH minus to both sides of the equation to eliminate H plus. What do I mean by this sentence? Simple. We are going to add in OH minus to both sides. Why? Because this equation right now is already balanced. And what are we going to do is we are going to add something. So when the equation is already balanced and you want to add in something, you add to both left and right. And how many OH minus do I add in? Simple. Look at the H plus. If the H plus is 2, then we will add in 2 OH minus. Same thing, 2 OH minus. Simple. And then the next step, we are going to combine the H plus and OH minus to become H2O. We know that H2O is formed from 1 H plus and also 1 OH minus. So when I have 2 H plus and 2 OH minus, I will then form 2 H2O. And H2O is repeated right now. And what do we do to ensure that the H2O doesn't repeat? We cancel that off because they are in the opposite direction. One is your reactant, another one is your product. So your H2O cancel with the H2O. 1 and 2, I will then have remain 1 H2O. Last but not least, we are going to simplify them and also put in the physical state of each compound. So, that is my arrow. Everything on the reactant remain on the reactant. I will have 2 OH minus aqueous plus 4 ClO minus aqueous plus S2O3 2 minus aqueous and forming 4 Cl minus aqueous plus 2 SO4 2 minus aqueous plus, we are done with this because we have combined them and we left 1 H2O liquid. And that is your final answer that we have, which is a complete balanced chemical equation. And I want to remind you over here again, for the basic medium, you only have extra 2 steps. They are basically the same thing as the acidic medium. It just we are adding in the OH minus to cancel the H plus. So I hope you can balance a redox equation right now. And thank you for watching this video. I'll see you again in the next one.